Story time with Hi, I'm Duran. Movie, I'm trying to do story time.
Backstory.
I was in a play once, small production. However, one of my co stars, we'll call her Miss Lady. Miss Lady was a more seasoned, accomplished actress who has been in critically acclaimed theater productions, darling. Then there was a young man, let's just call him Chad. Chad was an amateur actor. Actually, this was his first ever play, or even crack at acting at all. Then there was me. I'm in this play, well, because I always wanted to be an actor. Simple.
Story.
One night at rehearsals, Chad and I were in this scene together. This particular scene had a lot of physical activities that would have to be accurately choreographed, or someone could actually get hurt. Chad suggested that we do extra rehearsal outside of normal rehearsing hours to reassure that our performance is flawless. And I agreed. We arrived at his home later that night. He warmly gives me a tour of his abode before we ended up in the living room. As I take a seat in the furthest chair off to the corner, he asks me,
Would you like a beer?
I acknowledge with a head nod. Yes. Moments later, he returns, quietly places the beer in the middle of the table, turns on a basketball game, sits on the couch, then proceeds to turn his head to look at me and say,
Why you sitting way over there?
Immediately, my spidey senses kicked in. I scoped the scene. Beer? Check. Basketball game? Check. Two homeboys hanging out? Check. Not a script in sight? Check. I uncomfortably fidget around in my seat, as this is the scenario I have ever so often found myself in. Knowingly, I turn to him and gently say, I'm an actor. We're in a play. This is what this is. I'm here to rehearse. If there's anything else that you would like from me besides a scene partner, it will have to wait until after the play is complete. Oh, he replies.
Opening night.
I noticed that there has been a little tension between me and Chad the last few days since our little damn near casting couch misunderstanding. Noticing this, as I often do, believing that I am in the wrong for setting boundaries and not wanting people to not like me, I went back on my word. And I allowed myself to get infatuated with another man's fantasy of me. Now, even though nothing physically happened between us, I definitely entertained his image of me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where does Miss Lady fit into this? Okay, so a few shows after opening night, Miss Lady comes to me and says, Look, you are a great actor, and I have some people and some scouts coming up here to see me. But I'm going to mention your name, darling. Now, if you remember, Miss Lady is an accomplished theater actress who's just helping out the local play. Excited by this, I started reminiscing of a little boy's dream of one day being exactly where I am right now. A dream I haven't really dreamt in years. The day finally arrives. She comes backstage. They're here. And to be honest with you, you could feel the energy in the air that night. It just felt like Broadway. It was a high that I just can't explain. I mean, they laughed when they were supposed to laugh. They cried when they were supposed to cry. They felt when they were supposed to feel. Whew, it was an emotional ride between me and the audience that night. So, well, for a lack of better words, I felt jealousy perspiring out of Chad. Forgetting that Chad's family was there that night, as well as his girlfriend, who for months has never once been the topic of conversation. I just popped up one day and he's like, "Hey, Duran, this is my girlfriend." Oh, excuse me. They were all there to see him in his first play. However, Duran was getting all of the attention. So as I returned backstage from another successful scene, Chad stops me in my tracks and says, "You know you're not really as good as you think you are." Them words ricocheted from my ears, down to my toes, back up to my chest, bypassed my mind, and went straight into my heart. I mean, he wasn't wrong, right? I'm probably not as good as I think I am. I could always be better, are the thoughts that should have been running through my mind. But instead, I couldn't stop thinking about all the times that I spent with him. Us hanging out at the bar, us singing, "I want you to stay," Rihanna, with each other while playing guitar, hanging out with his friends at bonfires, a social life, everything I wanted. I kept thinking how the last few months I have been engulfed in a person who I myself said that I didn't want to get entangled with. Okay, Jada. Shh. Now I have allowed that same man who once encouraged me and told me, "You can be anything you want to be." Cliche, I know, but it would make me smile. His words hit so strong that my whole body shut down. Intermission was over. And it was time for Chad and I's big scene. Still paralyzed by the words spoken to me less than 20 minutes earlier, I walked out onto that stage. Spotlight blasting in my eyes. The audience is quiet, eagerly anticipating what's to come next. Now, I couldn't see them, but I could feel that they were just staring. The scene starts. He's saying his line. I'm saying my line. Now remember, I told y'all this was a physical scene, right? However, once my mind told me, "Oh, I'm not as good as I think I am, huh?" I then did nothing. Nothing. As Chad is standing up, he's running around the stage back and forth. I sat in that chair, in my own little chair, the whole entire time. And I just said my lines. No acting, no emotion, no movements. I just sat in that chair and I spoke my lines and I prayed for this scene to be over. The scene finally concluded. I rushed backstage as I was also in the following scene coming up in less than 20 seconds. I had no time but to hurry up, change my clothes, and get back on stage. While doing so, Chad charges into the dressing room screaming, "Oh my God!
Man. Whoa,
That was awesome! Oh, great job, Duran." Still numb, I bypassed him and I re-entered the stage. As the curtains closed on what seemed like one of the most emotional up and down nights of my life, I found myself still standing in the middle of the stage, unable to move. I then heard a voice say, "What happened tonight?" I turned to see Miss Lady. I started explaining to her what Chad had told me earlier that day. Her next words took my already numb, paralyzed body and it threw it into a coma. "I told you that you were a great actor and that I could introduce you to important people. And I can get you into the places that you dreamt of your entire life. But instead, you're worried about what a boy who's never even acted before said." I was left speechless. Moral of the story: I have spent my whole childhood dreaming of being an actor. I remember in about like 6th grade, Tyler Perry had came out with the Medea plays, right? And that's all I ever wanted to be after that. I wanted to be Tyler Perry. I wanted to write, direct, act, produce, all of it. That was always the dream that I told myself and that I told others. I never saw myself doing anything else. As time has passed and I have grown older, I've noticed my thought patterns are still the same as the little boy who started thinking them. Acting has always been the thing that I dreamt of, but I never asked myself why. As Miss Lady's words rattled through my head, it's like the answer finally clicked. Acting has always held the place where love was supposed to be. I didn't want to be Deron anymore. So bad that I was willing to be anybody else. And acting gave me a chance to be someone who felt like he was loved. So my entire life, I thought if I just chase after acting, then I would be chasing after love, right? But even in a situation where love, the love that I claim I'm looking for, was opening his arms to me, but I was more focused on a love that didn't even really want me for me. Now it's 2025, and I'm sitting here in my room, all alone, and I have yet to be in another play. However, I still continue to chase after boys who don't want me. That's when I just have to be honest with myself. The reason I can't find what I'm really looking for is because I'm too busy acting. I'm still playing a character that a lost, scared, lonely, unusual little boy created for himself. And now it makes sense to why I'm unable to love me, or why anybody else is able to love me now. I'm still in character, who's so fearful that if I was to say, cut, then I would immediately go right back to that feeling that that little boy had when he created the character to escape. Life is about having uncomfortable, real, and honest conversations with yourself to be able to grow. Now, I don't know who I am, y'all. I honestly never even thought that I would make it past 25, and that's real. So now I'm 32. I'm about to be 33 this year. And I'm realizing for the first time, I've been walking around with this script. This script that Sixth grade Duran wrote when he wanted to be Tyler Perry. He wrote a script of who he was going to be in his life, how he was going to act, how he was going to talk, how he was going to think, how he was going to feel. And 15 plus years later or so, I'm still reading off of this script that little boy wrote for me. So now at 32, I gotta burn that script and the character of Duran Marquis Allen. And I'm starting a fresh page. Oh, I think I even got my first line. Oh, where's a piece of paper? Oh, I got the first line. I need a pen. Oh, there we go. First line of the rest of my life. Hi, my name is Duran. Excuse me. So a few shows after opening night, Ms. Lady comes to me and says, look, you are a great actor, and I have some people and some scouts coming up here to see me, but you know what? I'm going to mention your name as well. Now, if you remember, Ms. Lady is an accomplished theater actress who I just made sound ghetto. The day finally arrives. She comes backstage. They're here! Her next words took my already numb, paralyzed body and completely threw it in a coma. So I told you that you were a great actor. And I told you that I could introduce you to important people and get you into the places and spaces that you dreamed of your entire life. But instead, you worried about what little boy said, who's never even acted before. I was speechless. Let's do that one over. I then hear a voice say, what happened tonight? I turned to see Miss Lady. Not me calling her Miss Lady, but making her ghetto. Shh. Us hanging out at the bar. Us singing, I want you to stay, by Rihanna. With each other while he's playing guitar. I sat in my own little chair. That's Cinderella. Noticing this, as I often do, believing that I'm in the wrong for setting boundaries and not wanting people to not like me, I went back on my word. And I allowed myself to get infatuated with another man's fantasy of me. Not even through... even though nothing physically happened between us, I definitely entertained his image of me. Then there was me. I'm in this play, because I always wanted to be an actor. Simple. Immediately, my spidey senses kicked in. He warmly gives me a tour of his abode before we ended up in the living room. Ooh, school. Hey, you guys, Duran here. So let's just round this video out to 20 minutes if I can. And I just want to come in real quick because I know that story might seem like it was all over the place because when I first wrote it, I was real in my fifis. I was in my emotions like a mug. But I also felt that it was a story I wanted to share. But now that I'm listening back to it, just to round it up, the difference when I say between gay and acting is because I've always chased after the love of men more than my love for acting. And because of that, I've always just questioned myself, like, do I want to be an actor or do I want love, And it's like, I'm always chasing after love, but then if I don't get it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go back to my real passion, which is acting. But then it's like, I don't chase after acting the same way that I chase after love. So now that I'm older, I'm realizing that,
love is actually what I'm looking for. You know, I just have to find exactly how to get the love that I'm looking for, if that makes sense.
No script in sight. Not a script in sight.